my worst.
Yeah. Well, you know, speaking of Battlegrounds, it's time to figure out what Battleground number 2 is. Like, there's also something to put into play, though. Look, there are certain professional teams, if you ever see them ban the same map over and over, the odds of them practicing that map ever is probably 0, which is why we see some teams do that. We see Towers of Doom will be the map pick here by Tempo Storm, a spot they love to be in that map choice. But there are certain teams that just flat out, they don't practice a Battleground. It allows them to harness their focus onto specific Battlegrounds outside of that. And that way you have more practice on more familiar Battlegrounds, and you never have to worry about that one.
And now Towers of Doom, that we know are going here. I can't think of any major surprises that we got from either one of these teams when it comes to their drafts into the past. Playstyle-wise, anything of the like. Medivh has still got to be a concern here for either team. Hammer is a problem, but not as big as one as I feel like compared to Dragonshire, especially when you win mid-control and have a Sergeant Hammer. You pretty much, it's hard to lose a game on Dragonshire with that, so it's going to be curious to see what we get from these teams into the draft. I think Maiev is another one I'm looking at. If she somehow makes it through, especially for LFM, I would like to see them maybe try and pick that up for themselves.
Will be interesting to see LFM, if they want to try and get one of those power picks, see if Tempo Storm will be forced to ban one. They're going to ban the Maiev. And who's going to ban the Sergeant Hammer unless LFM is willing to first pick it? Remind you that throughout the day, and what we've seen lately has been this priority to take the Medivh, the Maiev, things like that out of the picture. But we've seen Genji a couple of times today already.
We have seen him let through a surprising amount there. I don't know if LFM... I don't know if I like the idea of them willing to risk it, but I have more concerns with the Medivh. But they have the chance to pick up the Medivh, so they ban against it. Didn't even think about the Abathur, but surely has to be a problem on a battleground like Towers. The Garrosh ban, to me, and knowing Tempo Storm, this screams high Muradin value, that they're probably going to put high priority into that. So much so that it makes me wonder, you know, should LFM even question going with... Oh, wow, not. So if you ban double, then JoJo within the 1-2, they're calling out that you won't first pick Johanna?
Well, Tempo
or
might
Diablo.
go Diablo.
I guess Diablo.
And then leave Fury on something like a Johanna. I think that would be the case. And if you don't pick Deckard here and you give up a Deckard and Diablo, I mean,
it hurts. They got one.
That's it. Look, it might be a win in terms of draft for LFM in the long run, but for Tempo Storm, that's a win. They forced that in their draft.
No, that's now putting them in a position to go, well, we essentially forced you to get this first pick that we expected, so now all according to plan. You normally would expect either a warrior response in this, again, like the Johanna, but now that we don't see that, that's essentially calling out LFM saying you don't have the opportunity. If you ban out the Johanna, we consider it worth, and if you don't end up banning it, it works with our composition either way. I will say, though, I am surprised to be able to see this from Tempo Storm. They're not a team, especially against like LFM, where I see them adjust things just to limit, I feel like, one player or anything of the like. It seems more often than not they stick to what are our strengths, what are, you know, objective power levels, not sticking and catering to their opponent here. I feel like, if anything, if I'm Fury, I'm pretty proud.
Yrel, Whitemane, it's two of our newest heroes, by the way, that showed up in the ticker. Something different compared to last year. Opening week will be at the Blizzard Arena, and this time you can attend in person and watch. So different than last year.
I can go.
We can all go. We can all go. But I think that's the cool thing, is that everybody else, I mean, there's only so many tickets, but we can all go now. I mean, everybody can come in. I mean, for anybody experienced the Western Clash or even Heroes of the Dorm, I think there'd be a testimony of saying, hey, you know, Heroes events are actually legit in person, man. It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty dope.
The Blizzard Arena, the sound will just capture you. It's pretty cool.
Phoenix is the band here, though, from Tempo Storm. I do like the fact that we got ourselves the Whitemane before the second ban phase out from LFM. What do they want to rid of themselves here? Do they want to go more in the Warrior Choke? I feel like the fact that they didn't pull the trigger on it already shows the answer is no. But we'll see.
I mean, Genji, so Dahaka's there. Genji now available for both teams. With Jimmy Raynor, you already have enough sustain, a decent amount of wave clear, especially when you pair him with the Deckard. And if we get a Johanna here, it's fine. I don't really see a world where a Nubrak would have priority unless you're just feeling extremely confident on him. In a Nubrak with a Diablo, that trade-off generally favors Diablo the minute you try and aggress forward with a Nubrak, but Johanna, very safe approach.
There it is. Johanna in the Malthael. feel like after the Dahaka ban, not surprising to see Tempo go into that direction for themselves. And as you said, an opportunity for a Genji at the very back end of this. And Malthael Genji, one of the best kind of preps. The only, if that's the direction they go, kind of weird part about the composition is Decker Johanna. But as we saw yesterday, you know, you might have the opportunity to go Falling Sword to be able to pair with that if that is the direction they go. Last backliners, it's Genji Hanzo themselves.
Shamadas. One thing in consideration, this Joker pick is still available. Sergeant Hammer remained untouched. Malthael does not present the same type of control in terms of protect the hammer comps, and we know Scatter Arrow, Dragon Arrow potentially coming in.
Yeah.
Genji, Yrel, Diablo all charging at you may not be as appealing, but it is always an option. Also, I mean, Zeratul, Thrall, anything here for Fan.
I think I like Thrall or Zeratul the best there. Tassadar a little bit slower. I will say that makes quite a bit of sense when it comes to the selection of the removing of a win condition. I feel like with the selection of the Tassadar, macro is already going to be won a lot. When I see the Genji white main Diablo composition, I was like, it doesn't feel like it has necessarily the damage necessary in these type of circumstances. And in the long run, we know that the Reigner is going to win that, right? So what is the best pick that still gives you the macro control while still removing the burst, but giving you the sustained fight? Tassadar, perfect lineup across the board. Also, not even considering, doesn't have to, but he can go Force Wall, which on towers actually has a lot of value. And Diablo one Shadow Charge in, and then he just gets pinned. And it just feels like a sad,
have fun walking away.
Crying devil.
Oh man, Diablo with that W build though. If it's anything other than Diablo build or Diablo W, yeah. You know, we're just gonna combine it. W,
okay.
Diablo.
Yeah.
The W build it seems like the sustain is different for Diablo nowadays. I do like that approach though, is if you can isolate that hero, especially now that they have Malthael with that last rights, could be lights out in that department. We do know that Fan has probably one of the better Tassadars. Statistically, I could throw a bunch of numbers at you. Probably wouldn't make a lot of sense because there's not a lot of Tassadar play, but I can guarantee you that it's some of the best in the world in terms of those numbers. It also gives them just the poke potential, especially post level 7 when you get the extra range on your abilities as well.
The poke potential is definitely underestimated when it comes to Tassadar. He is a honestly really powerful character. The only struggles he has from a support perspective is purely he has no raw heal. Everything has to be predicted, and his effective HP is only there for a small time frame, not giving you the increased healing over long periods of time. He can make up through that with some things like his level 4s with the armor or the increased lifesteal opportunities, but other than that, he's got a lot here, and I think it caters to the team fight that Tempo Storm's looking to like make happen here.
Wait, that's
very well.
been on Tassadar.
Yeah, that was something that we hadn't gotten to. It is a little surprising.
Huh. Change up here. Vin has played a masterful Reigner as of late. Some of his penetrating rounds to thwart potential shadow charges. That's going to be something to keep an eye on because we've seen a lot of Diablos be aggressive and they meet that penetrating round before they ever make impact with the target. So it's going to be on Fan to try and make that happen. And that aggression, when you have a Tassadar, he's just walking forward.
Yeah, you know, it's a little bit more gliding, but I think that's the word you could use. But yeah, no, so this is one thing that we already can see being displayed, and I think it's very important to note with this composition from Tempo Storm, somebody has to demand answers with the Tassadar shield, and Fan is conveniently enough going to be one of the best targets to make that happen there.
Top lane, Malthael.
Swift strike up? I'm guessing not.
Yeah, he might have came in with it originally.
But all I was going to just highlight is purely the fact that the Tassadar mixed with the shielding on top of the Reigner, somebody has to kind of play Tracer-esque, and it's good that he is up there making sure to gain value out of the shields with that offensive positioning. Something to look forward to as long as there's no wall behind him and no Diablo in front of him.
So the positioning for LFM, actually proxying 2 of those sappers, it's one of the things that you can do on this to make sure, because they will path towards the middle, but you can draw that aggro and keep them going towards your side to make sure and have that free clear and less damage potential coming towards your front wall. So for LFM, ended up not getting the kill onto Malthael and therefore giving up that push in the bot lane. And Dread, I would say that's a pretty significant push.
Look at droplets. So that right there is exactly why I often talk about Malthael and off lanes and how vulnerable he can be. Obviously, he's not willing to commit to that skirmish. That would not be the best decision purely based on the fact that the top camp has been taken, which Glaring is also sniffing out there towards the top half. But it's just that the amount of pressure you can put to him as an offlaner in maps where the top lane is very vulnerable to ganks. Towers, it's not as vulnerable as some of the other battlegrounds, but I like to see for the first time LFM be willing to try and apply some pressure towards those offlaners.
First altar phase, be active in 10 seconds. Be curious, because Cattle, I mentioned it yesterday, Cattle loves to pick Subdue at level 7, and you always have Diablo and Urel kind of on that front line to hit with that Condemn. And then, of course, if Genji comes in, maybe getting some lockdown onto him, making it his retreat that much more difficult. As Fan, he's more than okay with trying to trade out there against a Genji diving on the back line this early in the game.
The one thing to watch with Fan is how many times he avoids walls like that, off to the side, making sure he doesn't go down. The Condemn into this, oh my, Scroll is sealing lockdown, 3-man. Fury falls low, the passive there coming out from Malthael. No setup for a kill yet. Droplets throwing the Shuriken back. June starts the channel. No interrupt yet. Mission complete. 4 shots sent back at LFM. And 2 shrine control there for Tempo.
Early game advantages here, Tempo Storm, but Towers of Doom, it's all about the long haul. LFM does have a small lead in terms of experience, only temporary. For now, some waves will be soaked up in the top and bottom lanes for Tempo to get back into this. So nothing to write home about this early in the game. No major team fight. It's only that one invade by Tempo Storm was enough to warrant the attention of LFM. As Fan trying to walk away, see the Condemn coming in by Cattle to make sure and keep him safe.
I don't think it's as dire as most games. I kind of raised this analytical point, J-How, but there is... Though you are right in the fact that it's like not devastating or anything major yet, as we see Fan clutch out the Shadow Charge penetrating round interaction there. Condemn does end up coming through. It's just Tempo Storm has a composition that wins the long, slower fight, which usually means laning and ganking, they aren't winning. So the fact that Fan is as big of a bully as he has been, here we go, Fan gonna receive that Shadow Charge, Scroll ceiling, hits 1 this time, Focus still onto the camp, swaps, leaps over, Malthael flanking from the backside there, question if he wants to curtain over and teleport, he will, joins in, a lot of damage spread out, Fury is the focus now for Tempo Storm. Shadow Charge goes through. That's going to be the first kill here in favor of LFM.
Oh, in comes the White Mane healings. We did see Tempo Storm. They did pick up the camp, but for them to have that invade, they needed something because Tempo Storm had been in control every step of the way.
That's exactly what I was trying to talk about before, is that it's surprising that Tempo was able to gain that control because compositionally speaking, teams that like slower team fights like waiting for heroics most of the time and then enjoy, you know, again, kind of stalling out the fight. So invades and early game camps normally should go over to LFM. So it's definitely a big silver lining that they were able to recover that one back for themselves, as that middle altar over the first phase didn't go too well for them. But it's going to be a trade here over the second altar phase, as Droplet's unable to get the Shuriken interrupt there onto Glau.
Most things even, again, somebody had to get the best of 3 on that. Now we see Urel at the top already making her way down. Of course, Malthael contemplating on whether he wants to join. They don't have eyes on Malthael yet, but now the fact that Tempo Storm has retreated, it will give LFM the opportunity to go ahead and finish the Sapper camp here at the bottom, see if they manage to get any type of push. Also, it's a matter of Urel making her way back to the top to make sure not to miss any soak, and I think that's why we see the zoning control currently by Tempo Storm as well as the sieging potential in that mid.
It's a really good job from them being able to stall out the rotations, as you see Fury trying to do the same to bottom. The reveal there by Vin with that Oracle, though, makes the decision-making around this kind of rotation a lot easier.
And I wish I could highlight that. Obviously, Urel ended up making it up. I was keeping an eye on the dots. I believe missed out on 3 of those minions, so that's a experience deficit that you have. And then the camp obviously picked up as well, and you could see Urel was like, oh, maybe I should check this camp, but it was too little too late, and that's all due to the position of Tempo Storm. And now we have the rotation down, Fan coming in. Of course, that is the slow on the auto attack.
Put on the way there. LFM questioning what they want to do here on the top half for now. Still have Droplets focusing on dealing with Glong, but Glong will have far better wave clear. Or that top clear. Heroics online. We do get the last rights. No force wall. And in fact, last rights might even be used in this 1v1 if Droplets risked it too much there. But it's going to be Archon picked up for our Tacit Arvin. Looking to do the damages. Understandably so, you know, but it is one of those few situations where maybe get ourselves a force wall. Genji with the X strike.
It was Tempo Storm Dreadnought. I remember there was a highlight play on Towers of Doom towards the end of Phase 1 that it was the Dragon Arrow into APOC, and we do get APOC locked in. And this time we also have some follow-up. As you said, that X strike is available, but we also have Divine Reckoning. So if they get that locked down in an area, the damage output is substantial. And it's a matter of pulling it off.
Yeah, it's very difficult to be able to pull it off. And now that Lornado is down, that's a 40-second window of a huge disruption moment that surely they need to make happen. The problem is that Figgy needs to get out of fog and make sure he can't be seen when throwing the scattering arrow, or not the scatter, excuse me, the Dragon's Arrow if they want to make this happen. There it is, two-man APOC combo follow-up. No X strike yet. Great counter initiation there from Cattle with that Iron Skin Condemn Blind. Camara starts the channel. Glaurung gets the interrupt, and Tempo now has full advantage over this skirmish.
Oh, Glaurung, he's trying to make the big plays. There's going to be last rights. Ardent Defender was used, so that will keep Yrel alive for now. Swab's forced to jump out, doesn't give any armor over, and Fury now comes in. The Lornado directly in the choke. That's going to be the kill here for Tempo Storm. And Dreadnought, the combo came out, but it was a bit of a miss. There were some timing issues there for LFM.
I think there's not only a little bit of timing issues, but I think there is a huge impact on whether or not you can predictably see that initiation. And a lot of that comes down to the Hanzo being in that position. Then Cattle was very comfortable being offensive, being at the forefront. We have seen him, especially on heroes like Johanna, being very okay with wearing those Dragon's Arrows for the team if necessary. And so not only timing, but I can't help but feel like the approach and the synergy behind the composition, it raises concerns here for LFM. They aren't far enough behind after that initiation, though, to be too concerned, but surely it feels like they only have about one more of those left in them before Tempo get too far ahead in HP.
Almost wondered if we were going to get the lockdown. Blessed Shield was there, maybe not enough follow-up in range as we see Deckard and Raynor by way of June and Fan here on the bot. June, Fan, and Vin, all three-letter names.
I never thought about that.
I get Fan and Vin all mixed up already. Finn and Van.
Tempo Storm might need a Van towards this bottom lane as they're getting a gank there onto Yrel. Oh, that's a natural agility interrupt there. Figgy unable to make it out for a little bit, but the Lornado coming through. It does not end up clipping Figgy, so Dai Camara is the man. Reeled back into Tempo Storm. Figgy trying to keep himself alive. I think he'll be able to do so, but Tempo Storm's not giving up easy as LFM now pick up that top camp. Archon was forced there by Vin. That is a huge trade here in favor of Tempo Storm.
They need to get these minions down if they want to get some more pressure on that, but now we've got minions coming in play for LFM. Explosive Arrow helping to clear that out. So trading out in kills. They did also use Archon to Tempo Storm. We'll see if LFM, if this just becomes a trade, as some of those cooldowns aren't available, but Swabs isn't letting June get away with the channel just yet.
Oh, but look at Raynor completely on an island fan, and Fury is going to be there for a shadow charge. Overpower almost there, just barely out of range as the Tassadar now seems to be getting the shields over the wall. Fury is the focus, last rights, and he's out of here.
Now we'll see. Yrel did manage to pick up that bottom channel, so does stop the bleeding a little bit. But for Tempo Storm, starting to stretch their lead to a half level. Nothing significant yet, but that dominance starting to be felt. No altar being channeled just yet. There's going to be one interrupt. I don't think we're going to get a second, but Glaurung moving his way in. Should be the channel completion. Level 13 picked up as well.
Pretty big advantage here now for Tempo Storm. But I think the biggest concern that I have when looking at how this has worked out so far, I think Tempo has done a lot of things very right, especially when looking at Dragonshire, the standard rotations. But now on a, not a poor battleground by any means for Tempo Storm, but, you know, one that they are less just essentially ruthless on, like Towers of Doom, and how much control. Dragon's Arrow is going to come out. No APOC, though, yet, and that is exactly what I want to point out. Beautiful interrupt there with the penetrating round. Cattle interrupting the backline. And now Glaurung is going to wreak havoc here on the backline of LFM after that three-man Blessed Shield.
The White Man ended up putting down some damage of her own. That's actually going to spell the end of Glaurung's life. Droplet seeing a Pekin pop off here, but he's eating a lot of damage, including that spear. We got full hammered in mode coming out here from Johanna, but not able to get any more takedowns. But that's a big cooldown. They ended up getting the kill, but Dark Chimera making sure to keep his team alive.
And all I was going to say before that was just how little of execution, and what I mean is not the level of execution, I mean literally just executing. It feels like we get from LFM. This is the second APOC game in a row, and we've seen 2 APOCs in the entirety of these 2 games. And so I was just immediately going to go, I want to see this all-in attempt. It again felt like timing was a little bit off there, but at least the approach and thought process is very much there. And it even got LFM that kill. So let's see if they can continue that here, as they're going to need it over a triple altar phase.
Well, Diablo hasn't shown just yet. Now we're going to see, do we have another 5-on-5 team fight? And as Dragon's Arrow is available now, no APOC for 20 seconds. There's going to be the jump over the Lornado. Enough time has been bought. Swabs, though, forced to jump back out. Glaurung, see if he gets the last rites in. That's going to force out the Ardent Defender, and we're looking at a 60-second cooldown versus a 120-second cooldown. So Glaurung getting the favorable trade there as we enter our 5th altar phase, which spawns 3.
But already, Johanna started the channel, forcing Droplets to be able to get the clear there. As you see Swabs getting interrupted by Fan now up on the top there. A 3 versus 2 in favor of Tempo Storm as Glaurung has already picked up the top left. Fury, excuse me, in fact, is going to pop that APOC with the combo. Now body block to death here. He has no way out until he can shadow charge something, someone, or overpower. Swabs goes in to join the ranks there. Dimensional shift with the 2-man Dragon's Arrow. Damage coming through. Glaurung's the focus.
Glaurung trying to stay alive. Did go Shroud of Wisdom, Dreadnought. That's why we see that aura around him. Wasn't sure if that was in
Max
the middle of it.
Blinding light. Got him.
Now we'll see. Droplets will have to hold here. Ends up swift striking out. Might not get back into position. 2 seconds away for Blessed Shield, so a lot of engagement opportunities. Blessed Shield's available, Last Rites is available, Archon is there, as well as the Lornado. So these short cooldowns are going to be terrifying for LFM to fight into, but there's going to be the root follow-up there from Dark Chimera. But Lornado comes out, creates some space, and Finn diving the back line. Biggie, it just needs to get out of dodge. Jarrell gets out of the game by way of a Last Rites proc there for Glaurung. So Tempo Storm with those heroics came in and dominated that fight swiftly.
Great job there by Vin on that Tassadar. He's one of the few ranged assassins that if he can go for a mega flank position and has any amount of cooldowns between his Side Storm and his Archon form, he really can trade so well into most backlines. Almost like Tychus with no repercussions, it feels like. Tychus is one of those heroes who can pretty much take any trade, but he usually comes at his life. Tassadar very much not the case. And forcing that hand onto the squishies in the backline of LFM is a large reason, I would argue, they were able to get that kill and continue the siege here now on to bottom, as it looks like we got a bit of actually a comm software communication breakdown for a moment. Here's why we've got our pause.
Ooh, I already see it's back in the chat, so hopefully we'll be back into this quickly. But I want to bring to the question now for LFM. They're about to lose bottom keep. They have a Hanzo and a Genji. That's not very good siege damage. They've got a Diablo, not very good siege damage. Reclaiming control of that bottom lane, I think it's going to be troubling for LFM the rest of the way.
I think that's a good point that you bring up, because for being the, Shimada brothers, when it comes to the siege damage, it's more like the Nada brothers, right?
Oh, who's the dad here?
Hopefully not you, at least not that I know of.
Because that was a dad joke.
I know, it's dad not. I gotta provide in some way, shape, or form. Sappers escorted in, 3 shots onto the core of LFM. 5 remain in HP as Tempo Storm bullying here with their 16 advantage.
I can never look at you the same again.
Yeah, honestly, I have a hard time looking at myself in the mirror too, so I don't blame you.
You bust out that ruler yet? Take measurements? No.
No, not yet.
We'll see. Oh my goodness.
Man, that interrupt there with that Lornado. And no escape there. Natural agility attempt is there. Kato actually getting flipped over into the kind of line of scrimmage there, the line of death.
Double overpower here. This is a talent we don't normally see. So Fury trying to get a couple of flips going there. But now they've already allowed through 3, and 3 more are about to make their way through. This is LFM's last stand, Dreadnought. They don't have control of that bottom bell tower, so now we see the rest of Tempo Storm. They will find that 5 versus 4. No Hanzo here, no one available. Vin staying alive for now. Uses that shield, and for Tempo Storm, they're going to try and take this fight and close it out.
If Droplets can get resets, that's the way that LFM can kind of recover from this fight. Feels like the only way there is blind. It goes down, Vin falling pretty low. Scroll of Ceiling is going to be used as Fury ends up getting the overpower. Swab's falling low. APOC ends up dropping, not going to land onto anybody. Last rites, and Fury goes down. 4 seconds till he'll be back. Ardent Defender used here by Swabs. The chain goes down onto Fan, coming out from Dark Chimera with the X strike, but it is not going to mark the spot as the kill actually coming in there on to Urel. LFM now have to interrupt June. He starts the channel, and this looks like it is, oh, Dragon's Arrow stalls out another couple seconds. Now Fury's back. He flips over onto Vin.
Oh, the shielding, though, non-stop is there. 4 members down. Fury, it's all for naught, and Tempo Storm will close out this game with a 5-man team wipe, an 11-3 kills advantage as they move up 2-0 in this best of 5. And June, we're gonna have to work on a spray game, Dreadnought. He's rocking it. He's basic right now.
You know, that's a mistake we all make, I feel. I'm that guy. We've all been that guy. You get into game, you have the Nexagon, and you're just like a goof.
Like you're feeling yourself. You make that sick play, and you accidentally press your T key, because you definitely don't do it for any taunting purposes at all. And then you're like, oh no,
Feels bad.
you left the Nexagon spray.
The level of control, I feel like, that we've gotten here from Tempo Storm throughout games number 1 and 2, though, based on the results that we've had so far, is a little surprising. I did expect them to come out, probably get it maybe 3-0, 3-1, but it's been pretty ruthless. You know, it does feel very much disjointed on some of the teamfight approach from LFM, communication-wise, something maybe a bit missing here today, but I can't help but feel like a lot of that still does hinge on Tempo Storm and the level of caliber of play that they're kind of bringing.
When you don't have, basically, I look at a team like Heroes Hearth. They always have the big wombo combos in their heroics, but they also have it within their base kits, the mini wombo combos, so to speak. They had the big wombo combo. It was fully designed there, the Dragon Arrow into APOC, into everything even coming out from White Mane and X-Strike. And if it ever synergizes, all of a sudden, that's Blow Up City. But it never really came to fruition, and when you don't have that type of impact outside of that, you get desperate. It was 14-14, I think, at one point, and it seemed like maybe that was the time LFM, it was their best chance. But every time it was around the shrines, the altars, it seemed more and more in favor of Tempo Storm. I must say, Fan had 84,000 damage on Raynor that game, and it made me start to think back to when he has a Tassadar on his team. The last time I saw this play, it was on Vala, and it was on Tomb of the Spider Queen. He just walked forward every time and dared somebody to come kill him because you just couldn't do it. So whenever he gets a Tassadar and an auto attack hero in his hands, it's terrifying.
He is one of the few players that not only get out of North America has the ability to converse with an old legend that was very good at that playstyle, but also played against him and displayed a lot of respect in the past. And I know this is an old name for a lot of people, but I think that this is, when we see that play from Fan, that's what I think of every time, because I know Fan did give a lot of respect over to Xingchen whenever he would get on things like Vala Tassadar, and it was how in your face he constantly was. I can't help but feel like in that last game, I felt moments where it's like, you know, just channeling that inner Xingchen and trying to really be the force that he can be, and it showed. It worked out there for Tempo Storm, and the numbers even backed it up there. I mean, next highest damage, he's doubled almost everybody in that game, almost everyone else in that battleground.
It's pretty wild. It's fun to watch this team when they're executing on all cylinders. LFM, we know they have a lot of fight in them throughout. We're going to see if they can maybe find their way back into the series, but for right now, Tempo Storm up 2-0. We'll be right back.